We're in week 24, 1 Chronicles 23 through 29, and 2 Chronicles 1 through 13. Vincent is back home and couldn't make this conversation. Jacob is here, and Mrs. Super Oz will ask the questions after the open rolls. What is the first question?
Knowing that we play a part in our answered prayers, what part do you find most difficult?
The idea that we play a part in answered prayers, right? I think when I think of it that way, what comes to my mind is, and I feel comfortable saying Andy on the channel. A, he's been on before, and B, he's come up plenty of times. But the idea that Andy praying for good test result, I feel like it's safe to assume that he prayed that prayer with confidence that the Lord knew what was best and how to be there for the Basham family. So in that way, I can understand. We play a role, which is the confidence, the belief in what we're asking for and who we're asking for things from. Because let's say, for instance, that I'm asking you to lift up a car. I'm going to have very little confidence that you've got that within you, or you for that instance too, right? It's not an insult to you or you. It's just if I ask something of you that I don't actually believe that you're capable of producing, that's a wholly different ask than praying a prayer that you wholly believe can come to pass if it is within the will of God. So I think that is the way I understand the origins of the question, perhaps.
I mean, I was trying to figure out what the question even is asking, but I think when it says that you play a role in the prayers, I think there's two ends to that, because the role you play is you're the one doing the prayer.
Absolutely.
You're the one praying for whatever.
Yes.
Just in general.
Yes.
And then it's also whatever does get answered. I don't even want to say normally. It will most likely affect you or someone you know.
Absolutely, it will certainly affect. Because if there was no effect on you or someone you know, as you put it, what was the sense in praying the prayer to begin with? So I definitely agree with you that there is an effect that is had from the prayer. And the thing to me that has both been important in recent times, and let's be real, is always important but isn't always top of mind, is even if the prayer isn't answered in the way that you want or expected, that doesn't mean it isn't answered.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because when we spoke about what feels like way too much now, the lack of moving forward when it comes to job stuff, it's not a bad thing. It's a learning thing. It's a humbling thing, and it's a coming to grips with who I am in this state of events. So I think in many ways it's the question ended with what's the challenge, right, or something like that.
What part do you find most difficult?
Most difficult. And so I would say that the difficult part, when the prayer isn't answered in the way that you desire or expected, is being both not just okay with it, but understanding why that it is for the good, and then taking the understanding and moving forward into this new reality, not that it's new, but this legitimate reality of events where things aren't, like I said, what I wanted, but are definitely the way that things are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like something too with like whenever the phrase is said like, oh, like my prayers are answered, or something with like answering prayers, it's always, I feel like, I mean, for me it's always kind of been like, oh, you got what you were praying for. But that's not always the case. Even like an answer that is not what you were praying for is still an answer.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the other part of it too, is like,
So
like you were saying, accepting. And
have we ever talked about music?
no.
Okay.
I think so.
I didn't think so either, but when Josh was here, I told him how there was a country song I didn't like by Luke Bryan called Most People Are Good.
Mm-hmm.
But every time we talk about prayers, both answered and, in this case, unanswered, a Garth Brooks song comes to mind, which is called Unanswered Prayers, where I think he's at a high school reunion maybe, or some sort of get together where he thanks God for his unanswered prayers, or let's be real, an answered prayer, but just not the way that he wanted it at the time, because now he's in a place where he can look back and say, wow, the things I asked for I was wrong about, and where I am, thanks to the grace of God, is where I should be. I actually literally was having these types of thoughts, but because of, I like to think about time travel. I don't know why, I just do. And
that'd be the best superpower.
well, I actually came to a place of not wanting it recently, and it's because of Mrs. Super Oz. I often want time travel because of success or ideas, or ever seen Hot Tub Time Machine?
Huh.
So investing in something that's going to be a hit,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And then it's like then I was driving recently, and I was talking to her about, all right, what would it take for me to get back on this path if I was to go back in time? And while we came to an understanding, I was just like, I don't think it's worth the risk, because where we are is where things are. I don't want to change it. It's not worth the thing. And with that, it goes back to the idea that while for many times in many ways I would have prayed for success in this way, or something in that way, it's like things are way better than I often give them credit for, because I have a habit. I struggle to call it a bad habit, but definitely a habit of looking to what's next.
Yeah.
Oh, I finished writing that project. What am I writing next? Oh, I drew this project. What am I drawing next? I made this video. What am I making next? I have a habit of being like, what is next? And with that, it makes it hard to appreciate both what has been and what is.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if I step back and I think about, like I said, how do I get back to here? Then I get apprehensive about, oh, that's gonna be hard. Then it's like, oh, how about you just appreciate where you are, period, instead of, imagining a time travel scenario that you have to manipulate to get back to where you're already at. Is there any struggle that you have noticed within yourself, I mean, when it comes to, and obviously if you've got an answer to the question, then that fits with you too, but like, I don't want to just feel like I'm wholly monopolizing the conversation.
I do also struggle with that same thing, with like thinking ahead rather than like
being present
on the things that I have.
Yes.
And whatnot. Especially a lot recently. I mean, I'm sure there's several other things, but I can't think of anything right now.
That's okay. What is the second question?
We're told to pray, humble ourselves, and turn from our wicked ways. Is there any one of these that you have knowingly failed to do?
I often struggle with being humble, but when I get humbled is when I don't struggle to pray. So that, to me, is one of the reasons why that not reasons, but it's one of the outcomes that I have come to from understanding things not always going my way, is because if things were always smooth and every light was a green light and it was always seemed like no matter what I asked for it was a big old yes, then without being humbled, I could easily, and let's be honest, probably too often do, attribute successes to myself.
Selfish.
Well, yeah, and that's why I said getting humbled is what makes it easier to, or not even easier, but getting humbled puts the focus in the right place. Now, is there good in staying humble? 100%. But is it hard? Also, yes.
Yeah.
Because when, and I don't say this in a, I'm not trying to say this in a boastful way, but when you talk to friends about ideas and they're like, man, that feels like a hit. I'm like, I think so too. And then you'll draw something like, man, that looks good. And I'm like, I thought so too. And then when you make a video and people are like, man, this is better than a lot of the content I see on YouTube, I'm like, I agree. When things of that nature compound on top of one another, then at those times, in those moments, it becomes easy to think highly of myself. But I was talking to one of my longest lasting friends in the history of my life, G, and we were talking about the concept that the things I'm capable of doing, whether it be a long form conversation, a writing, drawing, whatever the case may be, in his case, an instant athlete when it came to wrestling, all these things are gifts from God, but our gift back to God is using them to bring people to Him. Again, if you can have the correct outlook and focus, then it makes it so much easier to stay humbled, to stay in prayer, and to avoid wicked nature or choices. I forget how it was actually worded, but whether it's wicked nature or wicked choices. Ways, yeah, exactly.
Same thing.
So I think that in many ways it's a coming together of all of the things that work together to make the right choices, to stay on the right path, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being here at Mr. Super Oz. This video is going out, and this channel only exists because I, Oz, founded Gamble Comics, which first release was Everlasting Survivors, a 68-page graphic novel called All Day Long. Available now. Follow the link in the description that will take you to gamblecomics.com. While there, you can get hats, shirts, posters, much, much more, but most importantly, the story itself.
I feel like all of it, because it's
Yeah.
easy to.
I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely struggle with prayers.
Okay.
That's definitely one of my big, because it's just like, for some reason I haven't built the habit yet of that should be my go-to.
I think that's one of the benefits of prayer group is, and discipleship group or church in general, is the idea that if it's something that you are
doing collectively.
Well, yes, collectively, but I was going to say if it's something you're struggling with, when you see that other people are
kind of struggling too.
Well, like, it's funny. So at Mountain View, there's a prayer corner in the corner. Well, I know people that have legitimately joined the prayer team just to get themselves better at praying for others.
Huh.
And obviously for themselves too, I would suspect. But it was just like, it's kind of like how I say, people ask me, oh, how do you write? I was like, you're right. And they say, how do you draw? I was like, I just draw. And so the person that was talking to me about this, they said, I need to be better, more disciplined about prayer. and the best way for me to do it is to do it. And so they joined the prayer team in an effort to become more disciplined in prayer. I was like, oh, it's so smart, and it's so funny to think that the person is taking the advice I give to everybody about everything, but it didn't cross my mind about this. Most things people ask me about are channel based, not. Yeah, and so I can understand where you're coming from when you say that, it's not second nature, if you will.
Yeah.
Top of mind.
But I think that the more you do it, and I don't know if this is something you can relate to, but I know for me, the more challenging life is, the more I'm like, hey, no longer struggle to pray. Yeah, no, I think that's super helpful.
Yeah.
The day that she was in a car accident, there was no anything else. It was just like, it was just straight like, here's what I need right now. If we can make sure everything's okay, that's all I need.
Yeah.
And then when a firefighter, or was it an EMT? Firefighter, I think it was, called me on her phone, I was like, well, that's not good.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, she's fine. She's just not fine. I was like, all right, well, that's cool, dude. Appreciate you. Because
yeah.
he was just able to convey the facts
Yeah.
and not be emotional about it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, that's good. Being focused has always helped me, which is I think legitimately one of the reasons why when people's trials and tribulations, it's like, to me it's signposts, it's directional, it's almost MapQuest saying, this is the answer, what are you doing?
When you say MapQuest, it reminds me of the guy that you talk about in your prayer group at work that has a direct connection.
Oh yeah, that's Andy. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
What is the third question?
Going forward, which area will you intentionally make the effort to grow in?
I mean, for me, I definitely need to work on praying.
Yeah.
That's definitely my biggest one.
Well, I think that you're in the right place
Yes.
by being in prayer group. And I didn't mean the house. I meant
yeah.
I meant you choose to go to prayer group, which is helpful.
And going to church.
Going to church, super helpful.
Having a support system.
Support system, yes. Staying in the Word. I think you're on the right track for sure when it comes to improving. And I'm trying my best. I'm trying my absolute best to have the right attitude, the right stance when it comes to what is next. And with that, what I mean is I'm trying to be humble with the decisions that have been made for me and about me and that will affect my everyday going forward. I legitimately just today saw a video where this HR, I think they called themselves the head of an HR department, said, oh, well, you shouldn't even apply if you don't have experience in this because you'll just be discarded. And I'm like, then how can anybody ever improve? I'm like, that concept, it bothered me because it's like, and it also explains why I don't get interviews, because I see myself in the way that the people around me see me. Capable, a leader, the person that people turn to. Yet when an HR department sees that I apply, they see, oh, you're less than what we desire, because
they're just looking at paper too.
Well, exactly, and that's why that I think that if I can get the interview, it changes things. But again, if I can just change my perspective, if I primarily focus on God-given gifts as the year plays out, if I work toward using what I innately have been given without, and I know this sounds weird to say, but without trying. I didn't take classes to draw. I didn't take classes to write. I didn't take classes to be the on-air talent. I actually took classes to do everything in the background to make you look good and to get your audio right and to do everything for everyone else. But yet, what I'm capable of doing is this. Without, like I said, without being taught to have the talent, but just like I said, feeling like it's God given the ability to convey ideas, both with words, with writing, and visually. So, what I plan on doing is focusing on all of the talents that have been given to me and using them to, as much as I can, get people to know. Because I know this sounds weird, but even in the comic strip that I have coming out in the year, yes, the story it stars talking dogs, but that's not what's happening. Like, the dogs are there during a baptism. They're there when people are mourning. Like, there's more to the story than just the surface level stuff. Like, if you want to only, haha, Lucy moved the football, Charlie Brown tripped and fell, okay, fine, then that's where you can be. Not that I'm writing Peanuts, but it's my version of Peanuts, right? It's my version of a comic strip. But if you go to the deeper layer, you'll see that there's more to the story. My growth area, the thing that I intend to grow in, is both humbling myself to not be so egotistical, but also using what God gave me to point toward Him in all things. Like I said, even in things that seemingly have no relevance whatsoever to the spiritual realm, using those to be like, and there's actually more to life, because it's the truth. Like, things aren't just surface level. I'm going to close in prayer. Lord, thank you for your word, the ability for us to get together and go over it. And more importantly, thank you for the capability to see our shortcomings, because so many people, and I've been guilty of it myself, but so many people, they walk through life blinding themselves to the truth. But with your word and with your ways, we can see what the truth is, because you are the truth. And I'm grateful for all that you allow us to do, to grow, to learn, and be together, because one person obviously can read, but it takes the combined effort, I feel like, often for people to work together and understand and come to an understanding, because one can do work, but many together are strong. And so, Lord, thank you for all that you do for us and guiding us throughout each and every day. In Jesus' name, amen.